What if the most famous story of ancient Egypt wasn't about the succession of kings, but a coded manual for mastering your own inner reality? You have been told the tale of Horus and Set as a simple, primal battle between good and evil, light and darkness, order and chaos. You have seen the images. The falcon-headed god of the sky locked in eternal combat with the monstrous, unknowable beast of the desert. But what if that was the shallow story, the one designed for children and the uninitiated? What if the real secret was never about a god claiming a throne of stone in a kingdom of sand, but about a state of consciousness claiming its power in the kingdom of your own soul? The war between Horus and Set is not a myth. It is a mirror, and it is reflecting a battle that is happening inside of you at this very moment. This is not history. It is a blueprint for a war you were born into, a war for the throne of your own perception. To understand the coronation, you must first understand the kingdom in ruins. Before Horus, there was the reign of Set. This was not just a political era in a long-dead empire. It is a description of the default state of human consciousness. Look around you. You are living in the kingdom of Set. It is a world governed by brute force, by division, by the relentless hunger of the material form. It is a reality where truth is sacrificed for power, where connection is replaced by competition, and where the sacred is mocked as superstition. Set's kingdom is the paradigm of the tyrannical ego, the part of you that believes it is separate, that it must fight to survive, that it must dominate to be safe. It is the consciousness of entropy, the slow, grinding descent into chaos and fragmentation. This is the world you are handed, a world where the divine is a distant memory and the physical is the only reality that matters. This kingdom was founded on a primordial crime, an act of cosmic betrayal. The original king, the principle of divine order and harmonious potential, was Osiris. He is the archetype of your own forgotten divinity, the perfect pattern of your soul that was meant to rule your life. But he was betrayed by his brother, Set. Set, the force of material density and separation, could not tolerate the unified light of Osiris. So he tricked him, murdered him, and dismembered his body, scattering the pieces across the land. This is not a story of sibling rivalry. It is the blueprint of your own birth into this reality. The moment you entered this world, your unified, divine consciousness, your Osiris, was shattered. It was fragmented by the trauma of incarnation, by the limitations of a physical body, by the programming of a society that immediately began teaching you that you were small, weak, and separate. The pieces of your true self were scattered, and the ego, your inner Set, seized the vacant throne. But the story does not end there, for there was one who would not accept this usurper's reign. Isis, the wife of Osiris, the archetype of divine magic, intuition, and sovereign wisdom. She is the seeker within you. She is the relentless, unyielding part of your consciousness that knows something vital has been lost and will stop at nothing to recover it. Her journey to gather the scattered pieces of Osiris is your own spiritual quest. It is the path of gathering fragments of truth from forgotten texts, from moments of synchronicity, from the whispers of your own intuition, trying to reassemble the memory of who you were before the world broke you apart. And from this sacred quest, a child is born, not a child of flesh and blood, but a child of purpose. Horus. He is the divine heir, the product of wisdom's search for truth. He is your higher self, your awakened consciousness, born into the chaos and darkness of the ego's world with a singular, non-negotiable destiny to avenge the father, to dethrone the usurper, and to reclaim the kingdom. He is the force within you that says, enough. He is the part of you that is awakening right now, realizing that the life you are living is a pale shadow of the reality you were meant to command. The story of Horus is the story of this awakening. It is the story of the long, brutal, and necessary war you must wage not against an external enemy, but against the usurper who has been ruling your inner world for your entire life. The war between Horus and Set, as told in the pyramid texts, and the contendings of Horus and Set was not a simple affair. It was a brutal 80-year conflict filled with deception, violence, and cosmic trials. The uninitiated read these stories as primitive myths, the violent fantasies of a bygone culture. The initiate, however, reads them as an alchemical text, a step-by-step guide to the process of spiritual warfare. This is not a battle you can win with force alone. The ego cannot be defeated by ego. Set, the master of the material realm, cannot be overthrown by the tools of his own kingdom. The war must be won on a higher plane, with a different kind of power. The early battles are failures. Horus, young and impulsive, attacks Set with righteous fury, the raw anger of the newly awakened self trying to fight its own limitations. He is repeatedly beaten, tricked, and wounded. This is the first lesson of the path. Spiritual anger, the simple rejection of your current state, is not enough. It lacks wisdom. It lacks strategy. It is still a reaction, and as long as you are reacting, Set is still in control. The war is a series of initiations, each one designed to teach Horus a new form of power. There are contests of strength, where he learns the limits of physical force. There are contests of magic, where he learns that the will must be tempered by wisdom. There are moments of deep despair, where he is forced to retreat, to seek the counsel of his mother, Isis, and the wisdom of the god Thoth. This is the journey of the seeker, the cycle of trial, failure, reflection, and realignment. You do not awaken in a single, brilliant flash. You awaken through 1,000 small battles, 1,000 moments where you choose the higher path over the easier one. The most critical moment of the war, the turning point of the entire, is the loss of the eye. In a particularly savage confrontation, Set rips out the left eye of Horus, tears it into pieces, and flings it into the darkness. This is the symbolic core of the entire myth. The left eye, in Egyptian symbolism, was the eye of the moon. It represented the non-rational, the intuitive, the magical, the ability to see into the unseen world. Its loss is the allegory for the ultimate trauma of human consciousness, the severing of intuition. It is the moment the third eye is blinded. When Set removes this eye, he plunges Horus, and by extension, you, into a world of pure, brutal materialism. It is a world seen only through the right eye, the eye of the sun, the eye of logic, data, and the 5 physical senses. In this state, the world loses its soul. Trees are just wood. Animals are just flesh. Humans are just biological machines. The magic is gone. This is the state of the modern world, a civilization that has voluntarily blinded itself to half of reality, and then calls that blindness progress. This wounding is what makes the fight seem hopeless. How can you defeat the master of the material world when the material world is all you can see? The victory does not come from Horus himself. The wound is too deep. The healing must come from a higher principle. It is Thoth, the divine architect of reality, the master of universal law, who descends to find the fragments of the lost eye. He is the archetype of the higher mind, the divine intellect that exists beyond the chaos of the ego's battle. Thoth does not fight, he restores. He uses his magic, his knowledge of cosmic law, to piece the eye back together. But he does not simply repair it. He transforms it. He makes it the Ujat eye, the whole one. This is the key. The restored eye is not the same as the original. It is an integrated eye. It is perception that has been wounded, lost, and then made whole again through the application of sacred knowledge. It is the eye that can now see both worlds at once, the physical and the spiritual, the logical and the intuitive, the seen and the unseen, not as separate, but as a unified whole. This is the moment of enlightenment. It is the activation of the third eye. And with this new integrated vision, Horus is no longer just a warrior. He is a master. He no longer fights Set on Set's terms. He sees beyond them. He has the weapon that can finally win the war, perception itself. The final battle is not a battle at all. It is a tribunal before the gods, a final weighing of the forces. This is the allegory for the final alignment with universal law. With his vision restored, Horus can now present his case. His claim to the throne is no longer based on vengeance or lineage. It is based on a fundamental truth. He, the awakened consciousness, is the only principle that can bring balance. Set can only bring chaos. The gods, who are the personified laws of the universe, must rule in favor of order. They must rule in favor of Ma'at, the cosmic principle of truth, balance, justice, and divine order. Horus is declared the rightful king. The war is over. Not because one force has annihilated the other, but because one has been recognized as the true center of gravity for the soul. The proclamation is made. The throne of Egypt, the throne of your own being, belongs to the one who sees with a whole eye. The reign of the ego is over. The reign of the awakened self is about to begin. This is the moment of coronation, the establishment of a new kingdom, not just on the banks of the Nile, but within the very fabric of your consciousness. The coronation of Horus is one of the most profound and misunderstood events in all of mythology. It is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a new paradigm of existence. When Horus takes the throne, it symbolizes the precise moment that your awakened consciousness, your higher self, takes its rightful place as the sovereign ruler of your inner kingdom. It is the culmination of the great work, the victory in the war for your soul. From this moment on, you are no longer ruled by the chaotic, reactive, and fearful impulses of the ego. You are guided by the clear, unified vision of the awakened mind. The first act of Horus as king is to establish the new order. This is the establishment of the kingdom of Ma'at within. Ma'at is not a set of moral rules. It is a state of cosmic alignment. It is a life lived in harmony with truth. When Horus is on the throne, your life begins to reorganize itself around this principle. Your choices are no longer driven by a need for survival or validation, but by a deep, internal knowing of what is right, what is true, what is in balance. The constant static of the ego's desires begins to fade, replaced by a clear signal of purpose. This is spiritual sovereignty. It is the freedom that comes not from having no master, but from becoming your own. But what becomes of Set? This is where the deepest wisdom of the myth is revealed, the part that modern, dualistic thinking consistently misses. Set is not destroyed. He is not banished to some cosmic hell. To destroy the ego is impossible and, more importantly, undesirable. The ego, the principle of separation and material force, is a necessary part of existence in this dimension. Without it, you would have no body, no identity, no way to interact with the physical world. The goal was never to kill Set, but to subdue him. In the myth, after Horus is crowned, Set is brought before him, vanquished but not annihilated. In some versions, he is forced to carry the barge of the sun god Ra across the sky, his chaotic strength now used to power the journey of light. In others, he is made to carry the throne of the resurrected, Osiris, on his back. The symbolism is breathtakingly precise. The ego, Set, is no longer the king. It is now the servant. Its raw power, its ambition, its drive, its mastery of the material world. All of these things are stripped of their tyranny and put into the service of the higher self, Horus. Chaos now supports the throne of divine order, Osiris. This is the secret of true integration. You do not get rid of your ego, you give it a new job. You harness its power and aim it toward a divine purpose. Your ambition no longer serves itself. It serves your soul's mission. Your strength is no longer used for domination. It is used for creation. This new kingdom is symbolized by the Ujat, the restored Eye of Horus. This symbol, one of the most sacred in all of Egypt, became the emblem of the new order. It was worn as an amulet for protection, healing, and spiritual vision. But it was more than a charm. It was a diagram of the awakened human. The 6 parts of the symbol were associated with the 6 senses of the human being: touch, taste, hearing, sight, smell, and thought. Consciousness. The Ujat represents a state where all senses are unified and directed by a healed, whole perception. To live under the rule of Horus is to live with the Ujat fully activated. It is to perceive the world with total clarity, seeing the sacred within the mundane, the spiritual within the physical. It is to be protected from illusion because your own vision has become your shield. This is why every pharaoh of Egypt was considered the living incarnation of Horus on earth. This was not merely political propaganda designed to legitimize their rule. It was the upholding of a spiritual ideal. The pharaoh was meant to be the living anchor point for the principle of Ma'at on the planet. He was supposed to be the man who had won the inner war against Set and now ruled his kingdom, both inner and outer, from a place of divine alignment. He was the living proof that a human being could become a vessel for divine consciousness. Of course, many pharaohs failed to live up to this ideal. They fell prey to their own inner Set, to greed, to fear, to tyranny. But the blueprint remained. The ideal was never lost. The story of Horus was retold and reenacted in temples for thousands of years as a constant reminder. The kingdom of chaos is temporary. The reign of the awakened self is the true destiny of the human soul. The coronation is not just an event that happened to a mythical god. It is a potential, a promise, a destiny that is waiting to be actualized within you. Now you must face the most uncomfortable and liberating truth of all. This ancient myth is not a relic of the past. It is not a story about distant gods. It is a living map of your own consciousness. You are Horus. You were born a divine heir, a spark of the infinite, into a kingdom already usurped by a tyrant. The system of distraction, fear, and materialism you inhabit is the kingdom of Set. Your own, dormant intuition, the quiet voice you were taught to ignore, is your Isis, constantly searching for the lost pieces of your truth. And your ego, your self-doubt, your addictions, your insecurities, your relentless need for control. That is your inner Set. The murder of Osiris was not an ancient crime. It was your birth. It was the moment your boundless consciousness was forced into the limitations of a physical body and a linear timeline. The moment you forgot the infinite and began to believe in the finite. The scattering of his limbs is the fragmentation of your own soul, broken apart by the conditioning of family, school, and society, each piece of your authentic self replaced by a piece of programming. You have been living your entire life as an orphan in your own kingdom, unaware that you are the rightful ruler. But something has begun to stir. The quest of Isis has borne fruit. You are here, listening to this, because the fragments of truth are starting to come together. The divine child, your own higher self, is awakening. And with this awakening comes the declaration of war. Every single day you are fighting the battle between Horus and Set. Every time you choose presence over distraction, you are fighting. Every time you choose courage over fear, you are fighting. Every time you choose your authentic truth over social conformity, you are fighting. This is not a war of swords and shields. It is a war of frequency, of attention, of choice. The loss of the eye is your own spiritual disconnection. It is the wound you carry, the feeling that there is something more to reality, but you are unable to see it. You have been taught to trust only your physical senses, to navigate the world with the sun eye of logic alone, while your moon eye of intuition has been blinded and dismissed as fantasy. You are living with a handicap you never knew you had, and the wisdom of Thoth, the sacred knowledge that can heal your perception, is what you are seeking right now. The teachings of the ancient masters, the esoteric truths that have been suppressed for centuries, these are the tools Thoth offers to make your vision whole again. But the coronation is not a guaranteed outcome. It is not your birthright in the sense that it will be handed to you. It is a potential that you must actualize through your own will and effort. The throne of your inner world is currently occupied by the usurper. Set is ruling your life through automatic reactions, subconscious patterns, and deeply ingrained fears. He is the voice that tells you that you are not good enough, that you must play it safe, that you must conform. He is the force that pulls you toward instant gratification, distraction, and numbness. The war is happening now. The outcome is not yet decided. The great tribunal of the gods is the court of cosmic law, and it is always in session. It is not judging you, it is mirroring you. It is reflecting the state of your own inner alignment. You have the choice in every moment to feed the energy of Horus or the energy of Set. You can feed your higher self with silence, with awareness, with conscious acts of courage and truth. Or you can feed your ego with fear, with complaint, with distraction, with blame. The myth is a blueprint, but you are the architect. You are the warrior. You are the one who must face the beast within and, through disciplined effort and enlightened vision, transform it from a tyrant into a servant. The kingdom of your consciousness is the ultimate prize. The peace and power that come from spiritual sovereignty are beyond anything the material world can offer. The story of Horus is not just a story for you. It is you. The throne is waiting. The usurper is ruling. And the war for your own soul is calling for its king. The blueprint has been laid bare. The characters have been revealed not as distant gods, but as living principles warring within the architecture of your soul. The story of Horus is your story. The throne of your consciousness awaits its rightful ruler. The forces of chaos and order, of ego and spirit, are at war within you at this very moment. But knowing the map is not the same as walking the path. The final and most critical phase of this initiation is not understanding, but embodiment. It is the conscious decision to live as the king, even while the battle still rages. The reign of Horus begins not with a grand external event, but with a quiet internal shift. It begins when you stop waiting for the world to change and start commanding your own state of being. The establishment of Ma'at is not a future utopia. It is a present-day practice. It is the choice to bring your life into alignment with your deepest truth, one decision at a time. This is the real work of the king, to be the source of order in a world of chaos, to be the unwavering center in a storm of distraction. You do this by becoming ruthlessly honest with yourself. Where are you still allowing Set to rule? In your habits? In your relationships? In the stories you tell yourself? The king does not make excuses. The king takes responsibility. Harnessing Set is the most advanced stage of this mastery. It is easy to reject the ego, to condemn it as evil, to try and starve it into submission. That is the path of the novice. The master understands that Set's power, the raw, primal, and immense energy of the material self, is not the enemy. It is the engine. The challenge is to become its rider, not to be thrown by it. When you feel the rise of anger, of ambition, of desire, you no longer identify with it. You see it as the raw energy of Set. And instead of letting it run wild, you consciously channel it. You take that anger and transform it into the fuel for disciplined action. You take that ambition and aim it not at personal gain, but at your soul's purpose. You take that desire and use it to create beauty and order in your world. This is what it means to make Set carry the throne. It is the ultimate act of integration. Living with the Ujat, I is the result of this integration. It is a state of perpetual clarity. You no longer see the world in black and white, good and evil, spirit and matter. You see the hidden unity behind all things. You see the patterns, the synchronicities, the language of the universe speaking to you in every moment. Your intuition is no longer a fleeting whisper. It is a clear, reliable sense that guides your every move. You trust it because you have earned it. You have walked through the darkness of your own blindness and emerged with a vision that cannot be deceived. This is the protection the ancients spoke of. It is not an external shield. It is an internal state of being so coherent, so aligned with truth, that illusion cannot penetrate it. You were born into this timeline for a reason. You are not a random soul facing random challenges. You are a part of a great cosmic cycle, the end of the age of chaos and the dawn of an age of awakening. The war between Horus and Set is not just your personal story. It is the story of humanity at this moment. The collective ego, the global Set, has ruled for millennia, creating systems of division, exploitation, and fear. But now, the children of Isis, the seekers of truth, are awakening all over the planet. The collective Horus is rising. And every individual who wins their inner war adds their light to this global transformation. Your personal victory is a planetary victory. So the only question left is not who will rule your inner kingdom. It is not when the war will be over. The question is, who will you allow to rule today? In this very breath, with this very choice, will you feed the part of you that is reactive, fearful, and attached to the illusion? Or will you feed the part of you that is centered, courageous, and aligned with the eternal truth of your own divine nature? The throne is there. The crown is waiting. The war is now. Step into your power. Claim your kingdom. Live as the king. If this video resonated with you, let us know by commenting, "I understood it."